In this video, I'm going to give you the top 6 ways that businesses get paid using Salesforce Billing. My name is Micaiah and I'm from Chargent, where we are dedicated to helping aspiring Salesforce payments experts like you be a superstar for your organization. When you use Salesforce Billing, one of the primary things to decide is how are you going to accept payment? Number 1, are you going to take analog payments? So these are some of the most classic forms of payment, such as cash, money orders, cashier's checks, and yeah, plain old paper checks, which I hope you're not using anymore. Number 2, it'll be taking digital payments. So these include all the more modern forms of payments that we think of, right? So electronic bank debits, credit card payments, debit cards, prepaid cards, gift cards, and even QR codes. And number 3, do you plan to take bank payments? These include ACH here in the US, EFT up in Canada, SEPA over in Europe, and direct debit in the UK and in Australia. We have made a special checklist just for you on the 10 ways to make Salesforce payments safe, easy, and profitable. So check that out in the link below. And number 4, does your organization want to take in-person payments? If you're talking to your customers face-to-face when it's time for them to pay, then you're taking in-person payments. Number 5, maybe you take most of your payments on your e-commerce website. And number 6 is, will you be taking phone payments? And at Chargent, we are dedicated to helping Salesforce customers like you keep your payments simple. In this video, you will learn how to use alternative payment methods with Salesforce Billing. You might be saying to yourself, what does this dude mean by alternative payment methods? There are things like gift cards, digital wallets, bartering, gold bullion, rare coins, pay by cell phone bill, and cryptocurrencies. Effectively, if it isn't cash, card, or bank account, it's an alternative payment method, which is also known by the acronym APM. So there are varying uptakes on all of these different payment types. The reality is they're pretty niche right now. But we like to keep an eye on them here at Chargent. That way, when you're ready, we're here to help. Digital wallets. I think this one's pretty interesting. Some of the digital wallets out there are like Zelle, Skrill, Venmo, and PayPal Express. And at Chargent, we've actually had a lot of customers ask us about PayPal Express, and we'd love to implement it. We're actively working with PayPal. They are a big partner of ours, and we're working to find a way to do it inside of Salesforce. The truth is, it's kind of challenging to do completely inside of the Salesforce environment. And personally, I found myself using PayPal Express a lot more. It just makes sense for a quick checkout. And then there's Venmo. So you might know that the younger generations, the millennials and Generation Z, these folks are very used to paying with Venmo. It's super common. You know, I'm a Zennial, and I use Venmo with most of my friends. When we exchange money, it pretty much happens exclusively on Venmo these days. And because of this trend, it makes a lot of sense for retail organizations to consider being able to take payment from Venmo. At Chargent, we believe that digital wallets, they're good models when you're working with e-commerce, customer communities, or invoice payments. And because at the end of the day, our goal, and I think your goal, should be to remove any friction inside of the payment process. So here at Chargent, we're payment method agnostic. If you've watched my other videos, you've heard me talk about us also being payment gateway and payment processor agnostic. Well, again, we are payment method agnostic also. We want you to take payments in the way that it makes sense for your organization and, more importantly, for your customers. So let's say that you've decided you're going to take one of these alternative payment methods inside of Salesforce Billing. How do you do it exactly? Well, the reality is it's just kind of like we talked about with that analog payment video. If you've watched that one, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, you simply need to create those Salesforce Billing payment and the payment allocation records. And those records, they tie back to your invoices in Salesforce Billing. And that's pretty much it. It's fairly straightforward. If you're using one of the other alternative payment methods, really anything that's got a reporting functionality, you can download a report, then you're gonna go ahead and download that report and then put it into Salesforce using something like the Salesforce Billing lockbox function. This is really something you can use to automate that process. So these are just some of the ways that you could take alternative payments inside of Salesforce Billing. Got questions? Light up the comments below. In this video, you're going to learn how cryptocurrencies can work with Salesforce Billing. In terms of cryptocurrencies, the most popular ones right now are Bitcoin and Ethereum. While Ethereum is more intelligent than Bitcoin, for instance, it's got the ability to do smart contracts. There's a few other cool things it does. More businesses are taking Bitcoin than are taking Ethereum. For instance, Overstock.com, they love taking Bitcoin. People have even purchased cars from dealers using Bitcoin, and you're probably familiar with that famous pizza that was purchased with Bitcoin some 10 years ago now. We have made a special checklist just for you on the 10 ways to make Salesforce payments safe, easy, and profitable. So check that out in the link below. So there is much evidence that shows that crypto is going to play a role in payments going forward. In fact, several countries are very close to implementing both cryptocurrencies and blockchains to help manage their nation's currencies. At Chargent, we have had customers ask us about implementing a crypto gateway for them. And here's how we look at it. While we're always inspired by our customers and we want to deliver what you're going to use, when we have customers that are actually willing to pay to integrate to one of the crypto gateways, we're going to be happy to do it. But the reality is that just hasn't happened yet. There are a couple of things I want to make sure we all understand about cryptocurrencies. And one of them is that the cryptocurrency, the value, it's exceptionally volatile. It's kind of the opposite of gold, if you will. As pretty much all of us know, gold, it tends to stay pretty steady, right? It's gonna have some ups and downs, but it's generally pretty steady. The US dollar, it's usually the most even-keeled currency on the planet, and it's just not true with cryptocurrency. All right, now if we take this volatility that we just talked about, and we match that up with the amount of time that it takes to confirm a transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain specifically, so it can take several minutes and sometimes hours to confirm a single transaction. So during this time between initiating and confirming the transaction, it's possible that there was fluctuation in the Bitcoin value. So much so that nobody is willing to or can really guarantee that the transaction is still worth the same amount that it was at initiation. All right, so just a quick example to try and make this a little bit more real. Let's say that you're a merchant and you want to get $100 for your widget. So you accept the equivalent of $100 in Bitcoin. Now the blockchain, it begins confirming the transaction, but something serious happens and the market kind of tanks in that 2 hours. In that time, all of a sudden that fraction of a Bitcoin that used to be worth $100, now it's worth like 10% of that. And maybe it's only worth $10. So now you lost $90 on that transaction. Pretty scary, right? You don't want that liability, neither does the gateway. And this is an extreme example. But from this example, you can see that it's very complicated for a typical business to accept cryptocurrencies. Even look at the example of Stripe. In 2014, Stripe launched a program to accept Bitcoin. And that program ended in 2018, largely due to this issue that we just talked about. As you probably recall, here at Chargent, we are payment method agnostic. If you've watched my other videos, you've heard me talk about us being payment gateway and payment processor agnostic. We want you to take payments in the way that it makes sense for your organization and for your customers. So let's say that you have decided that you're going to take crypto for payment inside of Salesforce Billing. Well, really, tracking that, it's pretty straightforward. You simply just need to create the Salesforce Billing payment and the payment allocation records. And these records are going to directly go back to the invoices in Salesforce Billing. Got questions? Light up the comments below. You want to learn more? Watch this video right here. And remember, at Chargent, we are always here to help.